Hello and welcome to Mind Shifters Radio. I'm Tim Hayes. I'm your host for the first hour. And today is Monday, February 22nd, 2021. As always, we're grateful to everyone who's joining us here today, whether you're listening live or through the archives, as we spend another couple of hours teaching and supporting people in using some of the most powerful, effective, efficient, and accessible tools I've ever encountered in my over 46 years of doing therapy. Gratefully, these tools are available absolutely free at whyagain.org. If you go to that website and click on the red and white bullseye or the link in the upper left-hand corner of most pages that says Start Here, it'll take you to a page where you can download and read Chapter 24 of Dr. Michael Rice's book. His book is titled, Why Is This Happening to Me Again? You can also download the actual worksheet process itself. That chapter of his book is a narrative description of the primary tool in this work. That tool is called the Reality Management Worksheet, sometimes called the Reality Management Wake-Up Sheet. And as I mentioned, the actual worksheet itself is available for free download. Just click on the PDF, download it, print it off, and use it as often as you'd like. You can also download a whole host of audio files of shows just like this one, where people have been stepped through that worksheet process, and those shows can serve as a tutorial for how to do this worksheet process to turn any negative emotional state into an infallible guidance system. And I've been using that tool to tremendous benefit for over 16 years. So we encourage people to do that soon and often. You can also go to your app store and type in the 3 words Heartland, Aramaic, forgiveness. And before you finish typing the word forgiveness, you'll see the glowing heart icon. And when you tap on that glowing heart icon, it'll let you download a completely free and private app that contains the Reality Management Worksheet process, plus an abbreviated version of that process, and a copy of the Dragon Klingon game, which is a wonderful way to introduce these tools to even younger audiences. We encourage people to do that soon and often, as I was mentioning, and then give us a call if you have comments or questions. Our call-in number is 563-999-3581. Call that number and press 1. Alternatively, you can call or you can send an email to Jeannie at Jeanie at whyagain.org, whyagain.org. Or you can send me an email at tjh@mindshifters-academy.org. And that's one good way to get your questions asked, even if you're not able to make the live broadcast of the show. And we're here on what is the 53rd day of the year. And we didn't, as we're looking at the Course in Miracles lessons this year, we've agreed to work through the workbook lessons. And we didn't go through the lessons for Saturday and Sunday last week. We were busy with other discussion. So both days have been review lessons. And the review lesson for today is a review of lessons 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. And what's recommended is that you read the lesson and the brief paragraph underneath each lesson in the review. And just, you know, the thing that strikes me that's most potentially most beneficial is to bring people to, since you can get this absolutely free on the internet, acim.org/workbook/lessons. And you type in the lesson you want, it just pops up. And the review lessons for Saturday began with lesson number 1 through 5. And without reading the full paragraph for each lesson, I have decided to read the summary, the review lessons. Number 1, nothing I see means anything. Number 2, I have given what I see all of the meaning it has for me. Number 3, I do not understand anything I see. Number 4, these thoughts do not mean anything. Number 5, I am never upset for the reason I think. And then on Sunday, the review lessons were, I am upset because I see what is not there. Number 7, I only see the past. Number 8, my mind is preoccupied with past thoughts. Number 9, I see nothing as it is now. Number 10, my thoughts do not mean anything. Today is another review lesson. Number 11, my meaningless thoughts are showing me a meaningless world. Number 12, I am upset because I see a meaningless world. Number 13, a meaningless world engenders fear. Number 14, God did not create a meaningless world. Number 15, my thoughts are images that I have made. And as I mentioned, each of those has a brief paragraph solidifying the meaning. So Pam Grout, in the book The Course in Miracles Experiment, her chapter 51 is titled, It's All a Mirage. She quotes a yogi who said, I do not believe in miracles, I rely on them. Pam writes, the need to know, nothing is as it appears. From the jukebox, I Feel Good by James Brown. The We Will, Life Doesn't Give a Crap About Me. And The Rock, James Brown was born into extreme poverty. Abandoned by his mother before 6th grade, he lived much of his childhood in his aunt's brothel, and when he was 16 was sent to a juvenile detention center for stealing a 3-piece suit from a car. This doesn't sound like much of a miraculous life, but if it wasn't for the detention center, James Brown, known as the Godfather of Soul, the most sampled artist of all time, would have never met Bobby Bird, who not only secured his early release from the detention center, but adopted him into his large family, invited him to sing lead for his rhythm and blues vocal group, and launched his career as one of the most influential musical artists of all time. As Brown once said, if I hadn't stolen that suit, I'd have never found my true family. It's a good reminder that nothing is as it appears on the surface. So let me remind myself today, over and over again, that I am incapable of accurately judging anything. Chapter 52, Past? What past? She quotes Henry Miller as saying, the aim of life is to live, and to live means to be aware, joyously, drunkenly, serenely, divinely aware. The need to know, the world I see is a picture of the past. And from the Jukebox by Pharrell Williams, the song Happy. And the we will, I have to work my ass off to make things happen. The we will rock you. World travel plays a starring role on many a vision board. Common knowledge, also known as the past, insists that the best way to accomplish that goal is get a job, accumulate enough money and vacation time, say Cape Town or Belize, to visit them, or the Cook Islands, all these places I visited in the last 6 years. On the other hand, I had no expectations one way or another. I knew I had a burning desire to travel, but I had nary a clue how to make that happen. What I did have was the wherewithal to acknowledge that I had no clue. It was abundantly clear to me that if I was going to jet around the world, my only option was to give it up to the universe. I let it go completely, trusting the universe was a heck of a lot smarter and more abundant than me. So instead of following the accepted path of slaving away and accumulating money and vacation time, I now travel for free. The universe led me into travel writing, an occupation I'm not even sure I knew existed when I first made the declaration that I wanted to be a world traveler. Money? Who needs money? Lesson 53, her chapter is titled, Mirror, Mirror on the Wall. She quotes Mary Carr as saying, God had come to seem like Miles Davis, some nasty genius scowling out from under his hat, scornful of my mere being, and on the verge of waving me off the stage for the crap job I was doing. The need to know, the world I see reflects my thoughts. If I see suffering and loss, I'm not allowing my real thoughts. And from the Jukebox, we have Kool and the Gang's song, Celebrate. And the we will says, the world is chaotic, and we're all designed to wither and die. And the rock you part of we will rock you. When Mike Palatich was 42, he was diagnosed with early onset Parkinson's. Doctors told him that within a decade he'd be unable to walk, stand, or feed himself. 7 years later, with the disease in full swing, he agreed to participate in an experimental new drug treatment that injected a chemical called neururin into his brain through two small holes in his skull, one in each hemisphere. Almost immediately, his shaking disappeared. His mobility improved and his speech became markedly clearer. Before long, he was heli-skiing and running marathons. He even climbed Yosemite's Half Dome. His doctor was astonished. 2013, however, the doctor learned that the experimental Parkinson's trials had failed. The neururin injections worked no better than the placebo sham surgery, and where fake divots were drilled into the patient's skulls. Palatich's doctor almost hated to tell him. She looked into his records and was even more blown away to discover that Palatich had undergone the sham surgery. Neururin had never been delivered. Instead, he got a miracle. He replaced meaningless thoughts with ultimate truth. He gave up the insane belief that he was a body and that he could suffer. Meaningful beliefs, his divine perfection, restored him to truth with a capital T. Now that story of Palatich and the treatment for Parkinson's is part of the book that we've talked about on this show before. And it will come to me here. I'm flipping through my book list to Suggestible You by Eric Vance. The Curious Science of Your Brain's Ability to Deceive, Transform, and Heal. Suggestible You by Eric Vance, quoted by Pam Grout in her book about Course in Miracles experiments. So, we are being called to understand that we create our experience of life. We are being called to understand that every time we create an experience of life that is painful, there's another, many would say, a better option available. And if you're in one of those situations where you're creating a painful experience of life, we invite you to practice the lessons which can usher us into a different experience, can open us to having an entirely different experience of ourselves and our life. And when that is attempted and failed and any negative emotion arises, we have specific tools available at whyagain.org that you can apply with or without support from someone else directly to your in-the-moment experience and gain a different view of life, a different view of yourself, and a different experience of your life unfolding moment to moment. And that's why we're here. And that's why we're inviting and welcoming comments and questions. Our call-in number is 563-999-3581. If you call that number and press 1, we can have a conversation. How can we support you? What is on your mind? It has been one of those weekends where I've had a number of people struggling with intense life events. Is this Ellen?
Yes, it is. Hello,
Welcome.
Dr. Tim.
What are your thoughts today?
Wow. This is now the fourth time that I am doing the Course in Miracles lessons. But it's really the first time that I am really grasping the importance of these early lessons and how literal they are. I mean, I think the first time you read a lot of these early lessons, your mind can't believe what you're reading. And but I've gotten to the point now.
So what you mean is when you read these early lessons, your mind could not believe what you were reading.
Yes.
What we've learned in this work is that if I can talk more in the first person, I will get more out of what I'm saying and what I'm realizing.
Oh, okay.
So please excuse my interruption to get you to state it more in the first person.
Okay, sure. Yes, my mind could not believe such ideas as nothing that I see has any meaning. So much of what is said in these early lessons I could not believe, but yet I just did what I was told. I practiced the lessons. I just followed the instructions, and now here I am the fourth time around, and the first time was over 20 years ago. So now here I am the fourth time around, and actually the last three times have been since 2016. So there was a long gap in between where I really wasn't reading the text or practicing the lessons. But anyway, to get on with my point, now I am really getting the literal truth of every statement in these lessons and how important they are, how they set the whole foundation for everything. And I struggled for so many years to, I was in such confusion, and things are getting so much clearer to me this time I'm doing the lessons. And I'm not even sure what I wanted to say initially. It's this whole idea of the world that we appear to live in, and finally coming to the conclusion, I finally really come to the conclusion that it's, to call a thing, it's a total flat-out lie. And however, even though it's a total flat-out lie, as the Course teaches, the Holy Spirit can use your misperceptions to lead you into true perception. So that is like what I understand when I was listening to you telling the story about the singer. Feels so good. I can't think of his name. Oh, James Brown.
James Brown.
When he said, if he hadn't stole that suit, well, all of that never even really happened. It just happened in the world of appearances, but it was able to lead him to a better place within that world of appearances. And so even though we may be, dreaming this life that we appear to be living, everything that's happening in it is leading us to awakening out of it, and which is comforting. But at the same time, I recognize that we don't need to wait. That it is truly, like when I was reading through the review lessons for today, the fourth one, God did not create a meaningless world. There's a sentence there, it's actually the last sentence, and it says, "Let me remember the power of my decision and recognize where I really abide." And there is so, the truth in that statement, just, whereas before I might have just read it and thought, oh, that's nice. Now I read it and I go, yes, look at how powerful, even though these thoughts that are meaningless are creating a meaningless world, the power behind our thinking actually has us believing that it's real. And not until we recognize that these thoughts are lying to us and creating images that, again, there's nothing to them. They're just images. They're just appearances. And as long as we continue to believe that they're somehow real, then we're going to continue on, in the dream, and taking step by step out of it. But if we can fully grasp the fact that there's nothing that's actually taking place, that we can, that it's the power of decision.
Let's be clear, Ellen. Let's be clear. When you say there's nothing that's taking place, let's be clear. There's nothing that's taking place exactly the way my mind tells me it is. Right? My making certain meanings out of these events that unfold is what gives them the value or the flavor of experience that I have. And that's very, very real to me. So we're trying to clear up, because a lot of people get into this debate about whether or not there is anything happening at all. Yes, there is. There's a world, and we're here, and we're able to experience it. When this teaching says God did not create a meaningless world, it doesn't say God didn't create any world. It says God didn't create a meaningless world. The meaningless part of it is what we have created. Like you just quoted, let me remember the power of my decision and recognize where I really abide.
Right. Go ahead.
So it is the clarifying point clear to you? Not that you have to agree with it, but do you understand the clarifying point I was making?
I do, and yet I still want to go further. And now I'm kind of lost what I was going to say, but that's okay.
Well, basically, you were saying that it doesn't exist, that nothing exists, that nothing has happened.
Well, what I'm saying is that the happenings that are the mind, the part of the mind that we are aware of, the happenings that that part of our mind is creating do not exist. And because we are caught up in that world, we can't possibly see where we really abide. And once again, I forgot where I was, what the point I was going to make. You know, it's like thinking about these things, it's like I recognize the fact that here I am, like trying to comprehend the total nothingness that has been created by my mind, but yet here I am. You cannot comprehend that with the mind that created that. it's like I just keep feeling like my mind is being blown, and I'm thinking, okay, well that's good, because the mind that I am aware of is the nothing mind. It's the mind that's really blank. It's the mind that's creating all these images and thinking that they're real. And so the only way I can get into reality is to rise above that mind, because that mind cannot possibly comprehend reality. And it's in that recognizing there's nothing to fix, there's nothing to battle, there's only the rising up in your vision and claiming the truth. You know, but in order to claim the truth, you have to first recognize the lie. And when I do that, you know, when I get to these, you know, moments like I was this morning, and it's just like, and I can feel it. I can just feel it coursing. It's like that fire I was talking about on Friday. It's like these true, you know, ideas of what reality really is have such an impact that, I mean, you can literally feel the fire. I don't know how else to put it. But So I just, yeah, I mean, that one sentence was so instrumental for me because it really is, I mean, each person has to come to that conclusion about the world they appear to be living in before they can change their decision to recognize where they really are. And I mean, it's going to happen when it's going to happen. But I just wanted to state that, you know, I'm just finding that these everything that's being said in these lessons is literally the truth. Even if it sounds completely unbelievable, which it used to me, and now I am seeing the truth, and it's coming at me from different directions, and everything is pointing to the same exact thing, that the images that our mind make are completely, it's a total fabrication. And believing in those things, even though they're a fabrication, and we suffer because we believe in them, that can't change reality in any way. So they're really, you know, I was looking at this whole world as literally the acronym we use for fear: false evidence appearing real. And if we can just really claim that there never, ever, ever is anything to fear, and that it's, I mean, how could there be if God is the source of everything? I always like to look at this top-down approach, you know, instead of a bottom-up. It's like, where has everything come from? Even the fact that, like, for example, my mother just passed away yesterday morning. And, well, of course, I went through a period of grief. You know, just the whole lie of her dying. I mean, it's such a lie. She did not die. She is just as much alive as she ever was. Life is life. It cannot die. This is, you know, I just have to see it the way it really is. And to see the suffering that we go through because we believe these deceptions, and even the fact that we're born is a lie. I'm seeing it as such a lie. I mean, this world that we appear to be living in is like a world of dying. It's not a world of living. I mean, the moment a baby is born is when it's most alive. From that moment on, it's going through a dying process. That's not real. Life is life. And it's allowing me to just really see the truth more and more clearly.
Well, I'm leaving the space there for the reverence of the moment in what you're going through and what you're realizing in your life and with your mother.
Yeah, it's
there are very few people who could be in that space, and having your mother die yesterday or the day before, and be at peace about it.
Yeah, it's totally amazing how at peace I am. I mean, like I said yesterday, it was just yesterday, and I did go through a period of grieving, and I was like, okay, this is normal. Let me allow all this to come up. And I would go back and forth between that and this just joyous relief for her, because she was in a lot of suffering. You know, I mean, this was something she wanted for years, to be out of this world. And I could feel like almost like what she was feeling. And so I would go back and forth between this grief and this just joyous relief. And then, today, here I am right back into what I was being led to on Friday, which is that the whole thing is that we've been believing just is simply not true. And it's up to me to stop falling for the deception. And we each have to come to that. It's not to say that I'm not going to ever fall for the deception again, but I see how it's just becoming, how as things progress, we're just being led towards that point. And certain teachers like Lillian DeWaters, for me, she just takes me there. And I see everything that, and she's great because she gives all kinds of really great examples in her books of these truths. And then I marry them up with what the Course is saying, and I'm like, it's the exact same thing. It's the exact same thing. And when you hear the truth, you feel it. You know that it's true. Because it feels really good. Yeah.
I agree. Well, we have a hand up by someone that you are familiar with. I'm going to turn on the microphone here for Susan.
Hey. Well,
Hey.
I'm in the car driving my granddog to the vet, so this is going to be short. But Ellen, you went on about what you've realized, and you took a long time to mention that your mother had passed. And so I punched one because I thought all of this revelation and joy and everything, your mom helped give that to you. You already were there almost, but I wanted to just jostle you and say, didn't something happen yesterday or the day before? But you said it, so I really don't need to be on. And Dr. Tim said what I wanted to say to you is that I'm here in my absolute not knowing about anything, just hearing you, and I'm going to be with you, whatever comes up. And you can teach us along the way, I'm sure, because you have understanding and you just seem to be there, and I think it's amazing. But a little human company might be fun once in a while if you want it.
Of course. Yes, and I'm actually very upset that I'm not going to be able to join you on Wednesday.
I know. I am too, especially since it's because of what has happened. When my mother died, she was 95 and wanted to go, and the death was gentle, and we were right with her. I was in the bed with her. She just slowed down the breathing and then stopped, and my sister was wailing, and I was dancing. So it just goes to show. And I have never grieved my mother because I just thought it was so perfect how she went and how she wanted to go. But that's an old person who wanted to go, and your mother wanted to go too. And I just reserve that part of myself that would not accept in that way the death, God forbid, cancel the idea of a child, or even Tim Bingham, with the same feeling. So I feel as if I've got one leg on the side of the fence where you are, and one leg on the other side.
Oh, yeah, I know that feeling.
Yeah.
It's like you're straddling two different worlds.
Right.
And if we pay attention to it, that also can help us understand how clearly we are creating our experience.
Right.
because it doesn't really matter which person is making a transition. Our experience of it is self-created.
Yep.
So, are you driving with in the rain with windshield wipers going, Susan?
I am. It's noisy, huh? I'll get off.
All right.
Very, very glitchy. But I had this favor I needed to do for my son and his wife, and I'm doing it. So, yeah. All right. So, yes, I will mute myself because I'm sure it's noisy.
Oh, please be careful because, I mean, the roads are covered with snow at my house, so I'm sure that, it's not good where you are.
Yeah, everybody's sliding around, and we're moving very, very slowly.
Oh, good.
And
Yeah,
it's coming down.
All right, well, travel safely.
Thank you. Love, Ellen.
Love you too.
So, Ellen, what more would you like to say or can we do to support you?
I think I'm done. I think I'm done. I just felt the need to express some of what I was experiencing with doing this course, and it truly is a Course in Miracles.
I would have to agree. And as we look at the review lessons for the weekend and today, I was about to launch into, as you were punching your button to talk to us, that I've worked with several people over the weekend who are dealing with some very difficult situations, very intense real-life situations in their life today. And several of them have, in the middle of what's happening today, reached realizations about how, as they look back with hindsight, it's really good that some other things that they would have said were horrible and disastrous and tragic and catastrophic and they would never wish it on their worst enemy, how it's really good that that happened when it did, because if that were going on now, this and this and that would be different. So, when we talk about people who realize that hindsight is 20/20, and they realize in hindsight that some of the worst things that have happened in their lives have led to some of the better situations, if not some of the best situations in their life today, if we choose to, we could use that as evidence that it's all going to work out far better than we could ever imagine, which is basically what the Course in Miracles lessons for the past 53 days have been leading us to. That every time we choose a meaning that says this is bad, this is wrong, this shouldn't be unfolding, this is terrible, it's possible in that same moment to pause, release the judgment, and open to be shown how is this connected in a web of interactions that my conscious logical mind can't see, to miracle upon miracle unfolding in, through, as, and around me in this moment. It's possible to do that.
Yes. I was emailed a couple of quotes. There's actually 3 of them. 2 of them are really short from the Course. And the first one says, "No accident nor chance is possible within the universe as God created it, outside of which is nothing." And the second one is, "You cannot but be in the right place at the right time. Such is the strength of God. Such are his gifts." And if we could always remember that, we would never believe the thought in our heads is this shouldn't have happened. This should be different. I should be different.
Exactly.
All of those thoughts are such lies that we are choosing to believe. Well, that's all we need to do is choose to stop believing the lie and start believing the truth. And we don't have to kill the lie. We don't have to judge the lie. We don't have to fight the lie. All we need to do is say, oh, I think I'll choose to believe the truth instead of that.
Exactly.
That's the power of our decision.
Well, that's the power of life that will come through when we give up trying to be right or be the power. You know, I think it's Guy Finley who said, "We'll never master a principle. No human being is ever going to master love or master, you know, these various words for compassion and things like these are just principles. But if we ask to be taught, if we ask to be shown, if we agree to be taught by the moment or by the higher power that stands behind or fuels these principles, then we can get access temporarily to some of the power that lies behind these principles. It will loan us some of their power. But we don't master these things. We are taught by them if we will allow ourselves to take that subordinate position, to ask to be taught. By life in the moment, by events, by, you know, whatever you want to call it. You could say God, you could say light, you could say love. And when we judge, we're not asking. We've made the determination. There's a lesson in Course in Miracles that Michael Rice has a whole video about. It's a Course in Miracles, A New Beginning. And when we get to that lesson, it's going to be about making the decision that today I'm not going to make any decisions by myself. I'm simply going to ask to be shown. And every time something arises in my experience that I'm interpreting negatively and saying I don't want it, and there's tension, there's anger, there's fear, I'm going to ask to be shown a different way to look at this. The key component there for me is the asking. If I'm asking, if I'm questioning, I haven't decided. I'm not living in the judgment.
Right. And if those judging, I mean, for me, I know anyway, like those thoughts, those judging thoughts just seem to spontaneously arise, but I don't need to then judge myself for having those thoughts. I mean, that's just going down that road that I'm choosing not to go down. So I know another teacher I follow, he says, you can just notice. You can just say to yourself, I love this, oh, here comes the judge. Here comes the judge. I mean, the judge does, you know, the ego does what the ego does, and we can't expect it not to do what it does. And we don't need to condemn it for doing what it's doing. We just don't need to believe it, that's all.
Yeah, and we don't have to pour mental, emotional energy into those random thoughts that you're talking about. We can just learn to step back and watch them.
Yep, and see how full of absolutely nothing they really are. It's like a hot air balloon, just full of hot air.
Yeah, and as I was reminding somebody over the weekend, do those first 3 Beatitudes. Breathe, feel whatever it is in you, feel it fully, let it come up from your toes, let it come up from your roots, and let it go. Breathe, feel it fully, release it, and let it go. Just let it go. Whenever there's anything that arises that I've interpreted negatively, so then I begin to experience the tension, the fear, the anger or irritability. Breathe, feel it, and let it flow. It's like a yogic practice. It's the first 3 Beatitudes. They're far better interpreted, in my humble opinion, my personal experience, that way than in the King James Version.
I agree. Any emotion, it's energy in motion, right? It just wants free movement. And it's only by trying to hold on to it and repressing it that it doesn't just release.
Well, it keeps moving, but it has to move in a circle, and it has to spin, and it has to spin within us and create that turbulence. That's what Michael Singer teaches so well. That because energy is always going to be in motion, the only way to keep it, to block it, is to have it start spinning in a circle.
That's a great image, because then I just see like a tornado. I just see actually a hurricane, because it's water. I just see a hurricane. That's what we create, like these, like hurricanes. Wow.
Right, those negative emotions in our system are very, very turbulent.
Yeah. That's probably why I was so afraid of my emotions when I was a child.
What is why you were afraid of your emotions when you were a child?
Well, they felt so overwhelming and so destructive, just like a hurricane. And they were so out of control, like the rage that I felt was so out of control, like it just, it just came out of me. And then, of course, I think it would have been fine if I would have been able to just express it all, but, I was punished for that, so.
Okay, well, there's the other thing I was going to point out, is that most of us did not have the luxury of parents who were comfortable handling those emotions and could coach us through their experience.
Exactly. That was the situation I was in as well.
We learn our judgments of the world and emotions mostly from our parents and caregivers. Some of them we come to ourselves, but the vast majority of us when we were young did not have parents or caregivers who would talk to us about what we were going through, what it looked like from the outside, what it might feel like from the inside, and give us a variety of words that we might use to talk about it, to teach us to breathe and soften and take the perspective that would allow us to see that it just keeps moving, right? This too shall pass. If we don't like the way things are, just relax, because it'll change. And most of us did not have that magnificent gift. And that's why for most of us we learned our emotions were overwhelming because our emotions were overwhelming to our parents.
Right.
You know, I tell people I had the magnificent blessing of being raised by two of the world's greatest parents. And one of the aspects of that was that I grew up with this message in my head that whenever anything goes on that's intense and needs immediate action, someone's been physically hurt or whatever, the message in my mind is, this is way too important to panic about.
Yeah.
So take a breath, get centered. This situation needs a clear response. Let this situation dictate the response. All those other ways you could talk about it, but the message that got drilled into me, I don't know if I ever heard either of my parents say that, but I know I saw them act it out.
That's wonderful.
Whether it was a car accident or somebody had a knife going through their hand or somebody had the handlebars rip off their bike and rip their leg open, whatever it was, my parents' response was, okay, calm down. This is way too important to panic about. Take a breath. Let me see it. Let's do this. Calm down. Relax. Just as one example of being coached through situations that for most people would engender extreme negative emotions.
Yes. Yeah, as a matter of fact, I had kind of like the opposite experience with my mother, in that, I mean, just the slightest thing would, not go her way, and she would react like the world was ending. And I catch myself, like doing the exact same thing, and it's like, this is nothing. What am I so upset about? It's nothing. But it's like this automatic, it's just it's what's in the unconscious. It's just this automatic reaction comes up that I learned. And
yep,
I just
it's been
now
thoroughly programmed into the neural pathways. Yep.
Mhm.
Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing about your mother passing. Thank you for being on the show today and sharing. I realize we're down to our first hour and it's time for us to make a transition, but I have gratitude for the call and for what you're sharing. And I look forward to the next time you tune in.
Okay. Blessings.
Blessings to you. I'll remind us all that we come from love. We're made of this stuff we call love. We actually are love, and everything else is false. Welcome, Jeannie Rice.
Thank you, Dr. Tim. Excellent conversation, and Ellen will hold you in her heart. That's fabulous. Thank you.